All right, welcome in everybody. We told you we would be back to discuss the Super League after recapping Inter Miami's 3-2 loss to the Galaxy yesterday. If you missed that, go check it out on the Five Reasons Sports Network YouTube channel. Myself, Manny, and Kai broke it down. We talked about the fans, we talked about the players, we talked about Neville. So if you missed that, go check it out. Pre-game coming up on Saturday, but we are here for a different reason today. We are here for a reason that we might see some tensions flare. Some debate going back and forth. But we're here to talk about the Super League. A lot of developments over the last 3 days. Obviously, it started a couple days ago on Sunday, and today there's just been even more, and it's not stopping. And from what I know, what I've seen, all of the clubs and whoever's in charge of whatever the hell is going on are in a Zoom meeting now discussing everything. I know Perez is there, so that's the big name that everyone's been talking about. But let's just get right into it. I mean, I know, Ricky, I watched your video on it and your thoughts and how, I mean, basically it was almost inevitable and it's something that you could have seen coming, and you can't really blame the clubs for it in terms of, this economic environment post-pandemic, or I guess during the pandemic, really, we are still going through it. I want to get your overall thoughts first because I want to bounce off of them. I want myself, Manny, and Alejandro to bounce off of them. I mean, your overall thoughts on the Super League, why you think – I don't know. I don't think that you're pro Super League, are you? Or is it that you are just – you understand it?
Ricky,
Yeah.
before you begin, we do have breaking news that Arsenal has just said they're pulling out as well.
Oh, there you go.
I believe that makes sense. So here's basically my take on this whole situation. I understand why the clubs might be interested in doing this and why they've been planning on doing this for the last 9 or 10 or so years. I get why, because, for example, take Barcelona, for example. For those of you that I'm sure you guys know it better than me, I am happy to concede that. Ever since the Guardiola era ended, they've been kind of hemorrhaging, if not talent, cash. They've been dealing with some investments in players like Dembele and some of these other guys that haven't necessarily panned out, and they're in a bit of a financial crunch right now. The COVID pandemic didn't help it. So you can imagine why a $3 billion infusion into their coffers would be beneficial to them. So from the team's perspectives, I could see why they would want to do it, because whether fans are angry or not, I can't imagine a scenario where the world won't tune in to watch arguably the league's best 10 or 12 or 15 teams, not including one or two. I can't see why. Now, from the fans' perspective, I can understand completely why lots of fans will be worried about how pretty much their leagues or Champions Leagues or competition as a whole could potentially be destroyed. How the pure appreciation of and respect for the game of football can be interfered with completely. We already have a Europa League and a Champions League, and then you're basically taking the best teams that have the most not credibility, but the most buzz or recognition among fans, and you're basically gutting the UCL. At the same time, I'm always going to be someone who likes asking questions and pulling up receipts when necessary, because leading up to this whole thing, it is not a secret, or it's no shock to anyone, that UEFA has been under a lot of fire in recent years, whether it be because of officiating, certain teams getting preferential treatment, why England has like 5 or 6 slots, whereas a team like Anderlecht or pick a team has to struggle and suffer just to get into Champions League and things like that. But so for me, as a fan, it's true that I want to see high level football, but I don't want to see and I don't want to say purity of the game pretty much fall apart. It doesn't make sense. However, money has been a central aspect of football, especially in recent years. That sort of thing has been inevitable. We've seen it in English teams. We've seen it in certain teams beyond on the main continent. So, I just hope that no one trying to use... Okay, the example that I would use essentially would be like Brexiters voting against Scottish independence. I think I mentioned that in the group chat. And the reason I say this is because, and I brought this up in the video, and I'll pretty much finish with this because I don't want to go on for too long now. The Premier League was a breakaway league from the English Football Championship, essentially, from what I understand. And people that were supportive of that, yet against this wholeheartedly without even listening to what they're all about or what all the facts are, it's kind of iffy. That said, hey, I'm all for good football. I just want the fans personally to benefit from this thing. That's all it is, really.
Can I I want to touch on your Premier League breakaway point. This too, Chelsea. I think Tycho had a quote after the game saying that the only thing they talked about before the game today against Brighton was the Super League, and they're not for it. So Chelsea, Arsenal, City, almost officially out now. City for sure, Arsenal almost for sure, and Chelsea almost for sure. I want to touch on the Premier League point. I can't. I understand that it was a breakaway league, and but it didn't become a league that was not based on sporting merit. It didn't become a league that,
Sure,
let the top teams stay in forever. I mean, people go through the relegation promotion battles. You have to fight in order to get to the top four or to not be in the bottom three, whatever it is, right? With this league, my main issue was you keep 15 teams in no matter what, literally no matter what, and it ruins domestic football, and it ruins football for any other lower division team or lower tier team in the top division throughout Europe. It ruins it because let's look at the Premier League table right now, for example. You had a game today between Chelsea and Brighton. Chelsea are fighting West Ham right now for a top four spot to get into the UCL next season. That's the big thing in the Premier League, right? And I'll let Manny and Alejandro go on La Liga because they have a better understanding there. But go ahead,
So
Manny.
apparently Manchester United as well has just drawn out.
I'll go put on my jersey in a second. I
United.
was
Bro, at this point, I don't know why Perez is even waiting anymore to talk to anybody else. Just, whatever.
But let me finish up my statement here in saying that keeping
Sure.
the Chelsea Brighton game today, okay? They're fighting for a top four spot right now against West Ham. If they were automatically in the Super League next season, what the hell is the point of playing the game?
Yeah,
There is no domestic competition. The game yesterday between Leeds and Liverpool are fighting for a top four spot. What's the point of them playing the game if they're just going to be in Super League next year no matter what? It ruins domestic competition at all levels. Because if what is it? 75%, 15 teams are automatically in. That was the idea. 5 teams have to struggle to get in. You'll never see an Anderlecht there who you were just trying to vouch for. You'll never see any of those teams. You'll never see PSG because they were invited. You won't see Bayern. None of that is ever going to happen. So yes, you're going to get
City.
Leicester City winning the league would have meant absolutely nothing if they were ever to get there, right? That is my biggest problem, is that soccer to me is something that I have fallen in love with over the last 8 years of my life. And I love it because it's different than American sports. It's different than the American sports model that we have grown accustomed to here. It's why I've become a fan of MLS because of Inter Miami, but I thought Beckham's remarks yesterday were a little hypocritical. Not even a little. They were hypocritical because he became an owner in this league. It's a little different. MLS owners never broke away from anything, correct? But these owners doing that, it's complete sellout money grab. And of course, it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable that something like this would happen. And I guess I can't necessarily blame them for it. But just to break away, I'm sure maybe there have been conversations with UEFA and FIFA. And I'm not going to say that I support UEFA and FIFA by any means. We're going to have a World Cup in Qatar in 2022 in the winter.
Yeah.
I mean, that point blank, that's enough to be said. I was so infuriated and so bummed out by this because it ruined everything that I felt, or it ruined why I fell in love with this sport. And I don't know, man.
Can I ask you just a quick question about that? You see how you mentioned It's West Ham and who's playing? Was it Leeds?
Yes, sir. Today was Chelsea versus Brighton. But if Chelsea were to lose, West Ham would retain the top 4 spot. Chelsea drew, and they would go ahead on goal differential.
Okay, so here's what I'm curious about, right? Now, this I can't help but be curious because let's say, for example, the ESL were to have formed, right? And you would have had the situation in which you just mentioned. Given that Chelsea would have automatically been in ESL, wouldn't that have given West Ham a chance to play in the Champions League as a result, since that spot wasn't there?
What does the Champions League mean without all the top clubs?
the value goes down.
The
no matter
value
what.
goes
Sure,
down
sure, that's
tremendously,
true
and I
too.
understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that, but you diminish the value of the Champions League by forming a rival, and at some point it would have to go one way for any of it to mean something, right? If Chelsea don't have to worry about this game, right? Like I said, it ruins domestic competition because half the games they would never have to worry about if they're out of the title race. F it. Sorry, I don't want to curse for monetization, but I could have because of how I'm getting. But it just wouldn't matter. So what would be the point? City have already won the league, right? There's no point in fighting for top four because you got Super League next year. It's
I'll
a whole
believe it
mess.
when I see it.
And I understand. Perfect, wonderful. And I understand the idea of it. I understand the clubs. They've lost a lot of revenue this year, and it's not that they're in debt. It's just that they've lost out on profits that they were expecting. So I get it, but it ruins football for me. It is what it is.
Yeah, that would have been my follow up because we already have a Europa League, and that would have been my follow up. Okay, no, that's fair. I get that. I completely understand that argument. I do. It's honestly, it's one of my concerns with regards to if you were to take away all of the world's essentially best or Europe's best teams and you put them in one league, what does that do to the remaining ones? But no, I
Also,
get that. I do.
Would we not just expect PSG and Bayern to run away with the UCL every single season? Like, you know what I mean? Of course there are some, like we had Leipzig in the semifinal last year. Things happen, right? Things happen, but that's what I want to see. I want to see things happen. I want to see people compete for the right reasons and teams compete for the right reasons. I don't get that here in America with the MLB, the NFL, even MLS for that matter. I don't get that, and it's what I love about the sport of football that has changed my mind as a sports fan forever. So,
well, all right. Here's where I disagree with Austin. I think one good thing that American sports have is that they limit teams on how much money they can actually spend on players, and that's a problem that these European teams have.
There is no salary cap.
Yeah. Look at how much money PSG, Manchester City, even Chelsea that is now in the semifinals, Barcelona, Real Madrid, all these teams just paying more than $100 million players. And especially after the Neymar case happened with PSG and Barcelona. What put that coming again? Alejandro looks like what?
Some hot takes.
Looks like he's ready to. Yeah. No, because I'm listening. I mean, I've been to like 4 or 5 shows. So I wanted to hear like what you guys think about it. And it's interesting because this is a business, and we all know that. And as it is right now, it's not equal ground for everybody. So you're talking about. I know you love soccer the way it is right now, but it's not fair for like small teams don't have the same chance to win tournaments as big teams do.
Okay.
So
okay. And what would the ESL do for that? What would the ESL do to help that at all?
No, I know. It's not.
If anything, it makes that worse.
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to continue to be that same way. I'm just saying that it's not working as it is right now. It's not. I mean, not all the teams. They all started with 0 points, but we know which teams are going to compete in Spain. We know which teams are going to compete in Italy, and we know who's going to win in France and Germany, and that's repeating itself, especially in the last 20 years. It's been like this. Maybe 1 year Leicester wins the championship. Maybe 1 year Atletico goes away and wins.
But it's not about winning domestic competition.
And maybe this year Lille wins it in France.
But it's not about winning domestic competition.
No,
it's getting that spot into
Europe.
the next.
I know,
exactly. So continue. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
But the thing is, okay. No, it's fine. And my connection is funny right now. So the thing is, this is a business, so you have to look at it that way. When you look at the owners of these 6 Premier League teams that were part of the European Super League, you look at 6 guys that are not even from England or the United Kingdom that don't really care that much about the Premier League and what it means for these teams to be actually fighting for getting into the Europa League or the Champions League or whatever, or winning the FA Cup or winning the Premier League itself. So they're just thinking about business. And for them, it's just they're losing money and they're trying to find a way to rescue their investment there. And that's it. It's hard to look at it that way, but it's just how it works. I mean, and if you don't get to a point in which everybody's happy, you're not going to get to that point, and you're never going to get there. But you're trying to get to a point where all teams compete on a somehow similar ground, so they can compete and they all can have the chance to get to Europe. Like in Spain, Granada got the first chance to get to Europa League, and they actually had a decent run until they got eliminated by United. So, and that wouldn't matter if this Super League comes away and takes away all this fun. But the thing is, okay, they're I mean, FIFA and UEFA have also created different competitions just to make more money, like the Nations League. That's just to make more money. The other European competition they're gonna create after this season for those teams that are in the middle of the pack in these European leagues. That's just to make more money. It's not about soccer. It's not about give these guys an opportunity to be better. It's just to make more money. So I think to
But
me,
don't
would
you
be,
think that those extra competitions, not Nations League because that's an international competition, but the extra league that they're having past the Euro League or the Europa League in
Yeah.
whatever year 2024 doesn't either the league comp whatever it
that
is
one. Yeah,
doesn't that give more teams a fighting chance instead of heightening the disadvantages that small clubs are already at? For
yeah,
me,
yeah,
the
for sure.
right,
But here's
exactly.
the thing. Here's the thing.
Of course,
for,
it's
for the
about money. And
casual fan.
UEFA's, like I said, UEFA's not perfect. FIFA's not perfect, and I
Yeah,
will
no,
always
they're not
believe
perfect.
that.
We
Right.
all agree on that.
Never,
But here's
everyone
the
knows
thing.
that.
For you, the casual fan, I know you're a fan of United. That's fine. Manny likes Real Madrid. I like Barca. Ricky likes Lyon. He just said it, and he was
City.
City,
Come on now.
City. He likes
well,
City.
whatever. He likes Lyon, and he lives in
City.
Paris. He's in Paris right now. He likes City right now because they have money and they brought a lot of players. But that's
They
not
have money.
the thing.
That's why I like City. That's
Yeah.
you want to
So-
talk about why I like City?
No, for
Come
another
on
show
now.
maybe. So
Oh no, I don't
here's
follow
the
money
thing.
now.
So here's the thing. I know you follow the Knicks, so we all get it. So the thing here is, for all those competitions, that's fine. But what for the casual fan? The casual fan is looking to watch Bayern PSG. They love that. They're not even watching Chelsea Porto, and they were in the quarterfinals right now in the Champions League, and that was a good match. I mean, they were fighting to be in the semifinals, but most people were just watching Madrid Liverpool or Bayern Munich PSG because those are just the teams that bring more people in. That's just it's natural because that's the way it works. I understand what you're saying, but you also have to look at it like if you're in a European club and you're making this much money, and you look at UEFA and say, okay, these guys are making more money than us, who are the ones making the investment and putting the time and bringing these players and all that. So you look at it and you say, you know what, this business system is not working for me. I'm gonna try to create something different and maybe uh, create more money for all the needs that they have. I know these teams have created their own needs, so it's like a vicious circle. They go around and around. It's never gonna end. But I don't know. I think that like soccer in general needs a little bit of change, and hopefully this sparks a little bit of that conversation. At least this is happening right now. Something has to change.
Super
And
League
hopefully
has
for the
been
better for
suspended.
already.
go.
All right, here we
That's
go.
not a surprise. Yeah.
No,
Breaking
I
news.
figured it was
Right.
coming sometime.
By the way,
Um,
real quick to what
Go ahead,
Alejandro-
Florentino Perez. What do you have to say?
No, tranquilo, que no he llegado todavía para la mesa. Tranquilo.
Oh boy.
One thing that I would say that I do agree with Alejandro, that the more casual soccer fan, they're not going to tune in. They're not going to watch Chelsea Porto. They're not going to watch Ajax, right? They want to watch most of the teams that were in this so-called league, the cream of the crop. And I think where Ricky kind of had me too in his video, he actually made an excellent point about 2 minutes in. What are the only clubs that always reach the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the finals, right? Hold on. You don't have those small clubs ever even reaching it to that point sometimes.
But to ensure
last
it with
year you had a Leipzig, and last year, once in a while, you have those things. And Austin, I also say this. I'm that person that loves to see that underdog, right? I mean, when Borussia Dortmund had Lewandowski and Marco Reus and Mario Götze, who the hell are these guys? But yet they end up beating powerhouse Real Madrid, and then they make it all the way to the final against their rival in Bayern. That's an amazing story. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's amazing. But that's the thing, though. There goes Bayern and buys all the Dortmund players, so they're not on equal grounds. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right
but
now,
at
the system
time,
doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But if they want to do this, they can't just say, well, let's just pick and choose and whatnot.
Yeah.
Clubs are losing money no matter what, especially the top ones. We all listen. This has been a pandemic year, and it's still going to happen. Real Madrid have not been able to play at home because guess what? They already have plans to fix their stadium, and guess what? I don't even know when they're going to go back. I don't even know how much that. I don't even know how much it's costing to even put a roof.
Next season they will be losing at Bernabeu.
Yeah. So Manny, you mentioned something, and this is what's interesting to me. If I could, it's weird. Normally, I mean, I know this is a football podcast / show and everything. Yeah, they are. Lipe J, whoever that is, has a.
I like you.
He makes a very good point, and he sounds a lot like someone that is the reason why I'm a City fan. But that's a whole nother story altogether. Hello, Lipe J, whoever you are. Here's the thing. One thing, for example, and it's weird, politics has taught me something in the last year or the last 2 years or so, and it's weird how we can apply this to football today. This is that, for example, the previous presidential administration drew a lot of criticism because a lot of the things that they either did or didn't do was considered very controversial because previous administrations had always done it because it was tradition. A lot of people had this idea that it's law and not simply custom. There's no law in the books. For example, and at the end of November, when it was clear that the previous administration would become one term, there was no concession speech, nothing set up. A lot of people were like, oh my goodness, what's going on? You're supposed to concede. You lost. But there's no law saying that. It's just people have been doing that for the last hundreds of years that we all figured that it was in the book somewhere. The reason I say this is because when you look at, and I don't know what side this is on, but going back to the idea that, typically in Champions League, it's either Real Madrid, City, PSG, Bayern, whoever, right? Most of the time, we'll see a Cinderella like an Ajax pop up once every few years, or a Monaco pop up once every few years. But at the end of the day, we know generally who the teams are going to be. And after watching Champions League for the last 10, 15 years, especially after watching Real Madrid win 3 years in a row, and I think they beat the other Madrid twice in that 5-year span or something like that.
In 3 years.
The powers that be took a step back, looked at Champions League and was like, you know what? Why don't we just, let's stop pretending like there is going to be some magical run to the Champions League Cup, and let's just let's just make a huge cash grab. Let's work with some random American bank that knows how to do this stuff, who can fund this. Let's put a whole bunch of money in our pockets, and as a result, we'll give you at least once a week the best teams in the world. Now, this is probably what was their logic going into this.
We have breaking news with Manny.
Yeah, so apparently there's multiple reports out there that UEFA offered crazy amount of money to all 6 clubs in England to withdraw from the Super League.
Good.
Okay, so
well done.
What do you mean good, Austin? They're offering.
Here's what's interesting about that.
Yeah,
you know why?
Yeah, here's the thing. But you're keeping the. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Ricky. Finish.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting about that. What you said just there, Manny. If I'm not mistaken, it's already about 5 or 6 it's about 5 or 6 English clubs that already have Champions League slots, right?
Manny.
Yeah, you got to be careful with some of those rumors. But yeah, anyways, it's very it's about 5 or 6 English clubs that already have a Champions League slot. Yeah. Most countries in Europe have maybe 1, max 2.
Well, but that's because of the FIFA. That's because of the FIFA.
Oh, 4. Okay.
And all that. Yeah.
Sure, I get that. But the thing is, it's like, I think that should tell you something about the fact that UEFA was able to be like, you know what, we really don't want y'all to leave, because they realize that if UCL loses all these teams, they lose money, because we don't know where the money would go to, if not UEFA, if it's the ESL. So it's like, wait, you mean to tell me that the 5 or 6 best clubs in England are going to get an infusion of cash not to leave? So essentially, the strong are strong-arming the system. And who knows, we might end up seeing these major clubs strong-arm UEFA into basically saying, hey, if you don't, we already scared you once, we can do this again, and we might actually win the PR battle next time. Because I think in many ways, one of the reasons this fell apart so quickly was because I think it was Vishnu who might have mentioned it, but I think it was because the PR battle was essentially botched from the beginning. All people heard was money, and when you consider that a lot of the criticism in world football right now is money based, if they hear that, they're like, oh no, this is a cash grab. We're not for it. They don't care about the fans.
But then also, Ricky, I don't think the clubs and the presidents were fully honest with their players.
Yes. No,
Because
they
the
won't.
way that UEFA is so quickly even answering back, oh, you ain't gonna be allowed to play in the World Cup. You ain't gonna be allowed to do this. I just find it to be so interesting how, listen, we all love this sport no matter what. Racism still exists in the sport that we love. A couple of weeks ago, this Valencia player got called something on the pitch. What did UEFA do? Absolutely nothing.
Didn't
This
La Liga
happens.
force them to come back out?
La Liga made them play, which that still pisses me off up to this day because I don't understand. If their own teammates walked off to support their teammate, I don't think that should be a rule. But we will now go ahead and go forward from that. But it's so funny how all of a sudden UEFA's like, oh, wait a minute, if this happens, and we're gonna take away this, we're gonna take away that, we're take away that. It's all about money. It's about control. Okay. Yeah. And this is why, to me, this whole thing when it happened, I thought it was maybe a test to see how, for these big clubs, to see how UEFA would react, to see where they can get leverage from. Okay. And then all of a sudden, all the tabloids in England, you had Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville and all these guys just blasting their like clubs, right? Oh, I'm very disappointed in Liverpool. I'm very mad at Chelsea. And I'm like, guys, at the end of the day, we all know that the clubs and their owners, it's all about this, right? Yeah. And if they don't want to be facing Burnley every week or Leicester every week, they want to be able to be in the top 15 league and make some extra cash. Let's be honest here. We've seen the books. UEFA doesn't pay these teams anymore how they used to, with good average, at least trying to make them, I guess, more profitable, right? Because the team names are going to sell themselves from the fans. But how about the people that are there right now? How are they making anything more from this UEFA, this whole scandal per se? And to me, this is when all the owners came together saying, you know what, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I feel like the players that are on these clubs, they weren't really told, listen, UEFA might backlash with this and backlash with that. And that to me is what is just so amazes me about UEFA, man. There's more important things to be worried about in the sport today. And you want to go all of a sudden and say, well, these players are not to play in the World Cup. Get out of here with that, man. It's all about a money buggy grab.
There's something very toxic in world or European football culture, because it seems to me that every single time Barcelona is about to lose a player, they become a jealous boyfriend that will stop at nothing to keep that person from letting them go. And in many ways, it's like you're wondering, why is Barcelona, or Barcelona, as some people like to call it, why they behave that way? In many ways, I can't help but think, well, did UEFA teach them? Oh, yeah, there you go. Like, did UEFA teach them? Because I'm asking myself, I'm like, wait a minute. Look at what UEFA was quick to do. What? You're forming a league without permission? We're going to ban you from everything. You're not going to do this, blah, 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 blah. What we don't know is that we don't know if there were negotiations behind the scene that got toxic or anything like that. But what I do know is that UEFA was quick to be like, we're going to ban you from everything. We're not going to let you play because you're breaking apart from something that we may or may not have control over. And it's ironic because, like we said earlier, we have been so critical about UEFA to the point where they boo the Champions League anthem before every Champions League match. That's just last year, pre-COVID, So it's like, it's funny to see how that just turns out, how all of a sudden the shoe is on the other foot and then UEFA's playing the victim in this sense. Now, here's the thing. I get the fan perspective, but here's the thing. All it takes is a series of talking points that land with people, and boom, just like that, it's the mood changes. Who's to say, like what you're saying, Manny, that next time down the line, if UEFA doesn't get its act together with regards to Champions League and Europa League and some of the other things that they've got going on, that next time down they reconfigure what this ESL could potentially look like, and all of a sudden the fans are behind it. Because here's the thing, like I said a little bit earlier, there are a lot of people, a lot of fans of this game that they're saying, oh, no, I can't believe my team betrayed me and all this other stuff. When it's like, okay, well, you're still going to see them play on Sunday. You're going to see them play.
That was at risk.
I hear you. I hear you. We're probably still going to see them play in the domestic league on the weekend. You get to see an amazing team from somewhere else come and play your team during the week, and then it's like, oh no, I'm so furious. I have a hard time believing that fans are simply just going to not watch these games. Like, for example, if I'm a City fan, you mean to tell me City is playing Barcelona or Madrid in about a week in addition to Burnley over the weekend or something, and I'm not going to watch that game? I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm not trying to pick a side here. I'm watching that game. And these television companies know that. That's why they have no problem getting ready to engage in a bidding war. You know, there would have been a bidding war for the ESL if that were to happen. You know, so
Of course, yeah, no, and I don't
it's
think
kind of
there's
sus in both ways.
I don't think there's any disagreements from me or anybody listening to this on the business side and going back between UEFA and the integrity on that standpoint. And I'm fully in agreement. And you could go on and on for days about the politics behind football, the money grab, and all of that kind of stuff. For me, it was more about the fan experience and what I guess football, in a selfish way, what football means to me and what it means to a lot of people in the country of England and the country of Spain, and things like that. And that's kind of where I was coming from. By no means am a supporter of UEFA, and it's annoying to me that they get to look like the good guys in this situation. But you guys you just have pointed out exactly why they are technically still not, and they never will be. Same thing goes for FIFA, and that'll never ever be the case. Let me pass it over to Kai here. I know he wants to get in here. He's at work, so he's got limited time. So go ahead, buddy.
Listen, all I have to say is, unlike the three people, well, actually, I don't know who Alejandro, roots for, but unlike at least three of you here. My club has honor. Okay, so unlike all of you here, my club has honor.
This guy, man.
The fact that the fans matter more than anything else, and does not leave to form a bullshit league, not a super league, and attempt to hurt the fans and have their clubs protesting in front of their stadiums, because we have honor and we wear our badge and our club with respect. So that's all. That's the first thing I have to say.
I shouldn't have given him the floor. I shouldn't have.
I don't know why you did that.
This man is so close for me pressing the button.
You should.
honestly, I think what they tried to do, it's making UEFA, and I talked with Ricky this morning about it. It's making UEFA look good, and it shouldn't, as you mentioned, Austin. Like, they are bad guys. FIFA's bad guys. These are two of the most corrupt places and companies that we've seen. I mean, we're playing a World Cup in Qatar in December. Like, these are two of the most corrupt organizations that we have, and the fact that it's making them look good is horrible. At the same time, though, teams like Shakhtar Donetsk should not be making $500,000 when they have to fight their way and scratch their way into being in the Champions League, and that's what these teams want. They're going to get it eventually, but that's what happens. Teams like, Dynamo Zagreb, teams like, Shakhtar Donetsk, they have to fight and scratch and claw their way to get to that point, to get to the group stage, and for them to be making $500,000 is ridiculous. For teams like Bayern to reportedly already be making $100 million and they're not even in the semifinals next week is also ridiculous. And that's my club. I love them, but that's ridiculous. They're not even in the semifinals. They made $100 million all of last year by winning, and they're at $100 million. They didn't even make the semis. I think, and I know I'm saying, like I said as a joke, but I think Karl-Heinz Rummenigge said it perfectly, and he's been saying it for a while. Football has become a lot more about the money than it has become about anything else. And unfortunately, I would have to say that there is a lot in which I agree that us Americans have kind of ruined it, but the ones that own these clubs, that are the American owners, spearheading this coup, I would like to say, and it's crap. But I don't like that they're making UEFA and FIFA look like they're good, because they suck.
By the way, let me just say one thing, because I'm already seeing the reactions from most fans. Oh, it was Florentino's fault. Oh, look at him.
No, not at all.
To conquer.
Guys, a lot more people than here.
Yeah, hold on. 12 other owners.
Everything that's bad is Florentino's
fault. Get out of here. Get out of here. Hey, listen, 12 other owners sat in the same table as he did and signed this agreement. Okay?
And if the Glazers are forced to sell United, I will live happily forever. I will live happily forever.
What I want to know is, I get
the same way about Jim Dolan.
There you go.
Oh. Damn, we went there. By the way, listen, I know that Tottenham's in London, but how in the heck were they even a part of this? I don't care.
They have more money than 20 other Premier League teams. That's why.
Zero titles. Zero.
This is the one thing that I want to add, because, of course, I am Kai at work, so I do have to depart here soon, but I've been watching, and then I wanted to jump in. Which, by the way, guys, come on. For me, one day, can we do one at night when I'm off of work? Like, come on, this is crap. Like, I'm sitting here, I can't even have my setup. But next week, Champions League next week. Hopefully, maybe let's see. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to see Alejandro, Austin, and Manny here at 5 o'clock. I'm going to be like, all right, well, fuck Kai anyway. But the one thing I want to add as well with these clubs, I think what has been really interesting to me is that they left the ECA and all that stuff. I truthfully, if this had gone on a couple more days up until Friday, didn't think that things would be as smooth. So it would have been interesting to see what happens with those who are still in the Europa League and Champions League. And I think it's hilarious that teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, AC Milan, Inter Milan are leaving to join this super league when there's literally nothing super about them anymore besides name brand, and never for Tottenham.
But name brand is what brings the money. That's why they were going.
Okay, but in terms of what fans care about, Austin, I understand the money thing. You're American. It's very, but like I'm American too. We all get it, right? The money aspect is the thing that's there, but it's ridiculous that these teams, like, they are not super teams. They're just not. They just have the money
a super
behind
team
it.
has been redefined. Well, the idea of a super team has nothing to do with what happens on the pitch anymore. That's why Tottenham and Arsenal were in the Super League.
But that's my point. It's frustrating to see that teams like
Tottenham,
Arsenal, and these AC Milan, Inter Milan,
go Gunners,
are super teams. They're not super teams at all.
Yeah, no, 100%.
They haven't done anything in Europe in years.
Yeah. That's a whole other aspect to the issue.
Bro, Austin, Stan Kroenke needs to make some money, okay? The freaking rent that the Rams were paying in LA for the new stadium, he needs that money, right? This was a perfect job for him to do.
Dude, also these teams that are in debt, don't be spending this much money then. Don't go out there if you're like a Barcelona and spend for a De Jong and Dembele and these people that you can't afford in the long run. You're right. In debt for a reason. It's not because of the pandemic. It's because you're going out there and buying
Tell that to them.
For astronomical numbers.
Yeah. Alejandro, I know you got to go.
Anyways,
please say your final words. Later, Kai.
No, my final words is I'm glad this is not happening right now, but I'm sure it will happen at some point in a different format or somehow they're going to have to figure out a way to make these clubs happy because the leagues need them. So that's how I feel about this. And we'll see what happens. Barca's going to win La Liga and everything's going to be fine. So have a good one, guys. Enjoy.
Ooh, bold statement from
which season? This season? They got a chance?
This guy.
Yeah, it's a good race right now. Sevilla even have a chance. Atletico blew it big time. Atletico blew it. Yeah, big time. Big time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why PSG isn't running away with Ligue 1 right now. But I guess they're more focused on Europe.
Lille and this man. Oh, wait. Timothy Weah, the boy from Lille. They're going to win the league. And I am so hyped, dude. I am so hyped for Lille. Oh, I hate PSG.
That's going to be hilarious.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah? You do?
Listen,
did something happen that I missed?
I just after the quarterfinal, the round of 16 match, and watching.
Oh, they did beat you guys. That's right.
No, we beat them, and just that entire when Rashford scored the penalty, the Kimpembe handball, the Lukaku. The most magical night of my whole entire life was that night in Paris. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it was magical. It was great, but just throughout the weeks, like having to deal with PSG and. Just made me not a fan. I used to like PSG when Zlatan was there. It was nice, I rooted for them.
But I mean, in the previous round though, like didn't they?
Oh, they just beat us. Yeah, they just beat us.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
They beat us in the group stage. They beat us in the group stage to knock us out. To not let us qualify. So we finished third in the group because they beat us. So I obviously hate that fact, but
just making sure.
Just relax. We don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm. I mean. I think I saw the game. I think I saw the same game you did.
Well, Well, no, the first one was a tie, wasn't it? No, we won 2-1. We beat them 2-1 the first game, I think.
You talking about PSG in Germany?
PSG in United?
No, I'm talking about PSG in Bayern.
No, I'm not talking about Bayern.
Oh, no,
I'm talking about Man United.
I was trying to be petty and rub it in.
No. I'm not talking about Bayern. Bayern, they folded hard without Lewandowski. They folded hard.
Yeah, they got a Champions League Cup. That's something PSG don't have. So
that's very true. And they might. Honestly, PSG are my favorites to win.
You know something? At this point, when it comes to PSG and City, it's going to be a battle of who is going to, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be a battle of who is going to choke the hardest, because they're both known for dropping the ball
at the semifinal
worst possible time. Because I know last year I was actually still in Paris when this happened. We were playing Lyon, and it was kind of like it was bittersweet in a weird way for me, because the way City ended up losing 2-1 in that game was avoidable. One of our defenders, I think it was Laporte or somebody, got tripped, and they didn't call it, and 2-1, and that was the end. And Gabriel Jesus, who's been frustrating for me, couldn't. Anyways, yeah, that's a tangent.
We'll have to have a European show after this ESL stuff is over. We'll have to have a. Wow, look at Ozil. Of course, that freaking okay. I don't want to. No, I'm not.
Where is he right now?
No idea. Turkey, right?
He's in Turkey. Yeah.
He's in Turkey.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay. That's nuts. But yeah, here's the thing. I think when it comes to this whole European Super League setup, when I first started really paying attention to club football as we know it, it was in 2016. I had just got back from Paris for the second time, and I had fallen in love because I had watched the Euro Cup, because the Euro Cup was in France that summer, and I was with my brother, and we were I was trying to figure out what team I liked, and it just so happened that he had been a City fan dating back to the pre-Aguero time. So I was like, all right, you know what? Why not? I like their colors, and then we went from there. And then it just so happened that Guardiola had joined the club and everything like that. I don't remember why I started talking about that. Oh yeah, Champions League. With everything that I've noticed from this, I'm like, well, I don't know personally if the ESL is necessary. I understand why the cash grab is, and it's like, all right, it makes sense. Like, whoa, who is that? Is that you, Manny? Hopefully they don't have to
My
do it,
bad.
but
Panther
yeah,
pregame.
it's all good. Yeah, hopefully they don't have to do it, but that also means that UEFA has to get its act together, because
100%.
we clearly see what's going to happen, what could potentially happen if your best teams decide to break off and do their own thing. Because if they lose interest, then the ratings are gone.
I want to touch. There was something to continue with that. Nico Cantor, who is literally a pundit on a UEFA show, talking about Champions League. He does basically their version of NFL Red Zone as well. His tweet was, "Today football was quote unquote saved, but now it needs to be fixed, streamlining it. There is still many issues." And he continues to say, "If UEFA can extend an olive branch and try to find a solution or compromise to many of the issues and concern that put 12 huge clubs in a position to forge a Super League, then there would be true progress. Even canceling the Super League is not enough progress, and it's not even close to being enough progress. You need to continue to develop things that would be beneficial for as many parties and for, as effective as it could be all the way throughout. And there's not going to be a perfect answer. Nobody's going to end up happy. Not everybody's going to be happy. It never is. But for me, just to end it off, we're going on 45 minutes here. I want to make sure everybody can get through all this. For me, it was more about I understand the business aspect. Like I said, you guys touched on it very well in better words than I could have, and I fully understand. But as a fan, it heightened a lot of the issues that can be talked about now with UEFA, and it made those problems even worse, and it gave more disadvantages to clubs that are already at a disadvantage, and that's why I was so against it. And it ruined the integrity of the sporting aspect of it. I think the integrity of football and everything that has to do with European soccer right now is already ruined for the most part, but for the sporting aspect, it would completely ruin it. The competition wouldn't be based on merit, and that is my biggest issue. And that's how I just want to end this. It would have ruined my love for the game, and it's why I fully shifted to becoming a football fan than American sports. And I know I still support MLS and Inter Miami, and we can have a pro-rel MLS discussion any day of the week. I am there.
I'm ready for that.
I'm there. But I'm glad to see that it's likely coming to an end, and tell Perez, the Glazers, and Woodward, who's getting ready to leave my club, to politely F off. Well, Manny, you got a show. You got a game coming up soon. You're at the Panthers game. It is the Bank Atlantic Center, right?
Negative.
No.
BB&T Center.
BB&T Center. I'm getting there. This is the third time in a row.
Damn you, Red Devil.
No, but I know you got work to do. Ricky, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was a lot of
my
fun.
pleasure.
I need you to come on more shows. This was good and productive, and I hope everybody can understand where everybody was coming from. It was a very good and productive debate going back and forth, and I'm glad it's come to an end. So any final words, guys?
A la Madrid.
Sure.
I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that football fans around the world and in Europe are able to properly enjoy the game that they love, the beautiful game, as Pele once called it. And at the end of the day, since that is the goal that we have seen in the last few hours or even few days what a group of dedicated individuals, both on and offline, have been able to do to establish the right amount of pressure to their respective clubs to preserve the integrity of this game. And if we can if we can harness this energy to prevent an something like a European Super League from forming to the detriment of so many clubs in England and all around Europe, just imagine what we can do in order to not only prevent the ESL from crushing UCL and all these other tournaments, but creating a better UEFA. Maybe it's wishful thinking. The more wealthy individuals are taking control of these clubs and benefiting from these lucrative TV deals and things of that nature. But I'm still a believer in the idea that human beings can still affect change at the club level to the point where we all come together and create a football federation that just focuses on the very beautiful thing that is football. So I think moving forward, let's try to harness this into a way that makes great sports or great football for everybody, for people at home, for people in stadiums. And the future is bright, but only if we are willing to keep the light on.
100%. Keep the motivation forward, and let's push this on throughout. Not just ending Super League, but maybe fixing a lot of the other issues that are happening in the sport that we love most. Very well said. With that said, I think that's about it. We'll see you guys sometimes next week for any other show. We have the pregame and postgame show coming up for the Philadelphia Union and Inter Miami game, and many more shows throughout. You guys can check out Five Reasons Sports, the YouTube channel. It's like stuff every single day, right, guys? Like literally every 30 minutes, I feel like there's some live show going on about some South Florida sports. So make sure you stay tuned with us. Follow Ricky J. Mark, follow Manny, follow Alejandro, follow Kai, all on Twitter. You can follow the Five Reasons Football account as well. I think I'll end it there. Manny, have a good game. Ricky, we'll see you soon.
All right.
Everybody viewing, hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time. Peace.